Hey guys, ShadowRock here with more news on Gunvolt Chronicles Luminous Avenger X. And at long last, a mini analysis on the gameplay we have seen so far. About time, right? I'm actually glad I waited on this video, as the bulk of our analysis has to do with the first two members of the Falcons that work for Sumeragi, Rebellio and Crimm. The official website has updated with the official English names for these two, their backstories, boss battle breakdown, and even the EX weapons Copen will earn from these two boss adepts which you will face in the game. So without further ado, allow me to introduce you to them proper. The Craftsman's Dream, Rebellio, voiced by Ryota Yoshizaki, an adept in possession of the energy wool Septima. His body is enveloped in a fibrous energy which he manipulates to create various objects. He was once a kind-hearted young man, but his family was taken hostage by an anti-Sumeragi terrorist group, who forced him to commit heinous acts against his will. He was made to bear the burdens for his crimes, and was sentenced to death by Sumeragi. After his conscription as a Falcon, Sumeragi promised to pardon his sentence and provide assistance to his family in return for his service. And just looking at Rebellio's design, you can definitely see how he's handcuffed and he has the orange jumpsuit. So this guy is definitely an inmate. Well shoot, that is pretty tragic. Even his quote here says, "Mom, Dad, everyone, hang on just a little bit longer. I'll be seeing you all real soon." So pretty much he was forced to join Sumeragi to save his family. It's really sad, man. During battle, Rebellio uses his Septima to craft brutal weapons like scythes and guillotines to get himself into the mood to fight, despite his hatred of conflict. It could also be said that this is a manifestation of the fear of his impending death sentence. His moveset consists of String Mace. String-like energy is compacted into the shape of a mace. He swings it wildly at his enemies, making it hard to predict. Guillotine Bungee. A nit of energy is made in the shape of a guillotine. It falls rapidly with a wide range. Dash carefully to avoid it. Gatling String. A large Gatling gun fires bullets of string energy. Bullet dash quickly and hover above him to stay out of danger. Anchor Scythe. Rebellio moves quickly along a wire, then delivers a scythe attack. He also digs to the ground, scattering debris. And his signature attack, the strings of fate that bind us together, lead to the same end in a sea of red. Crimson Death Thread. Or in Japanese is called Redline Dead Rave, Rebellio's SP skill. He spreads his thread to capture his enemy, then turns his body into a giant spear to pierce through those ensnared. The EX weapon that Copen acquires from Rebellio is called the Anchor Nexus. It envelops an enemy in a thread of energy, holding them helpless as Copen unleashes a piercing tackle attack. Bound enemies can be dragged along by a bullet dash. So like we talked about on the trailer footage, this is definitely going to be very useful for getting up close and personal to enemies to attack them. And that's very interesting that you can actually drag them along with you as you're dashing. Very brutal indeed. The Explosive Artist. Crimm, voiced by Suguro Narasawa. An adept in possession of the detonation Septima. He fires shots of densely packed energy that explode in highly contained yet very powerful explosions. After transforming, he shields himself with a super tough barrier that completely protects him from any blast shockwaves. His personal creed is, "Anything by these beautiful hands is a radiant work of art." Crimm is widely known as a charismatic beautician, but his true personality comes out every night when he goes around indiscriminately laying waste to any structures he set his sights on. He's not a pyromaniac, he's a blastomaniac. He feels justified in his mass property destruction since he genuinely believes that there is no greater beauty in the world than acts born from his Septima. In his eyes, he is the master of fine art and the world is his canvas. He was overjoyed at becoming a Falcon, as he gained legal authority to perform his art whenever he sees fit. And yeah, like the description says, Crimm definitely looks like a beautician because he has these scissors and everything. So yeah, he's basically like a hairstylist. And I gotta say, I love this guy's quote, "Art is detonation." Does that sound familiar to any of you guys?
Explosion is art!
Yeah, it seems like Crimm and Blastman would be best friends. As for the battle, we talked about how Crimm is definitely a guy who likes explosions, and boy will he be using them a lot. And like I totally called in the last analysis, This guy is going to be a very defensive character as well, as he constantly brings up a shield where he is impervious to damage while it is active. So pretty much you gotta dodge his explosions and then wait for the shield to go down before Copen can attack him. Now here's his moveset. Blast Jump. Crimm uses a mid-air explosion to launch himself. He triggers explosions to his left and right wherein he lands. Blast Rush. Crimm launches himself with an explosion to rush down his enemies. He then buries his claw into the wall and detonates it. Luminary Mine. He fires a high-density ball of energy from his claw. He then detonates it to cause a large explosion. Discord Mine. Crimm carpet bombs the floor for a 5-way attack. Find an opening for a bullet dash, which as we can see from the footage, you usually need to jump from the far left. And now for Crimm's masterpiece attack. Dazzling blasts bloom upon my canvas, the world engulfed in radiant conflagration. Come now, let me hear your screams. Exquisite Artillery, or in Japanese it's called Carnival Death Charge. He causes a huge explosion in midair, then continuously bombs the surrounding area. Dodging requires precise timing. And this is actually new information. The EX weapon acquired from Crimm is the Photon Detonator. It fires a ball of light that explodes on contact with an enemy or obstacle. It has long range and high firepower, and is capable of firing up to 3 projectiles on screen at once. Which definitely sounds a bit like Power Gear Chain Blast from Mega Man 11. The similarities are uncanny, man. But that's not all that we can learn about these adepts here, because Integrates has also included information on Sumeragi itself, and the Falcons, which are the main bosses of the game. So, Sumeragi's elite soldiers, the Falcons. The Institute for the Promotion of Human Evolution, Sumeragi, conscripts citizens determined to have powerful Septimas to become elite soldiers known as the Falcons. Sumeragi entrusts these select few with a Falcon Quill, allowing them to enter a contract that unlocks their Septima's full potential and changes their physical form. And you can see an image here where, yeah, they actually use a quill or a pen and they pretty much just write out the words and then they transform. And for a little recap, if you don't know what a Septima is the name given to the supernatural power held by a newly evolved human species known as adepts. Septimas vary from adept to adept, manifesting in a variety of ways, from creating natural phenomena like fire to turning the adept's body to a string-like material. Different class strata exist among adepts, but peace is kept under the control of Sumeragi's supervisory AI. Supervisory AI, huh? Very interesting. As for Sumeragi themselves, they are calling themselves the Institute of the Promotion of Human Evolution in this game. Sumeragi aims to advance human evolution to its next stage by eliminating all Minos, those without Septimas, and creating a world where only adepts exist. While on paper Sumeragi is merely a corporation, its true influence is both deep and far-reaching. They are regarded by most as the country's true rulers, which makes a lot of sense. Everybody is an adept, most of the Minos are dead. Seems like Sumeragi pretty much has the world in their grasp at the moment, which is kind of crazy, considering that for a while we thought that Sumeragi was kind of done for after the last couple games. What happened, you know? At least we know that Copen is definitely fighting for a just cause, because we know Sumeragi is not good news. Now that about does it for the news. So now what I want to do is take a look back at both the first trailer and the gameplay demo footage from Bit Summit 2019 and the Integrate streams, which I'll have links to all of that in the description below to view for yourself. It's time to open up our keen eye for details and begin this analysis. And we're pretty much going to go in order here, starting with the trailer from Bit Summit. In the intro stage, you can see a mysterious block with a symbol on it, which stands out of the background a bit too much. Could this be a decoration, or will it have some gameplay significance, like maybe you could break this block with an EX weapon to open up a shortcut for speedrunning? I could definitely see how if you break that block, you can just go straight through and skip having to go down and then around. You can also see a new enemy drone that fires missiles at Copen, as well as a new Jello type enemy. It looks like this enemy can regenerate, which makes sense given the terrain of the shaft that they are placed throughout. That way, if you mess up this section, you can retry again. Other than that, the only other interesting thing in the trailer is actually Blade himself. It's still largely unknown who Blade actually is. Is Blade Gunvolt? Is Blade actually a girl? Or is Blade another subject of the Gunvolt project, either from the past or because Sumeragi restarted the Gunvolt project now that they are back in power? Yeah, still don't know about that. But we can examine his moveset that we can briefly see throughout the trailer. So right off the bat, we can see that his special is called the Berserk Trigger, but we don't really get to see it in action. Now it looks as though your first encounter of Blade will be in the city slums, which we assume is the intro stage. And we believe we have a screen here that Anticrates recently posted on their Facebook page, showcasing some dialogue from that encounter with Blade. Of course the text is in Japanese, but after translating it, here's what he says. "Is that all you got, Ix? I'll be taking your head." So it definitely seems like this dialogue takes place after the first battle in the intro stage. Perhaps Copen loses the Blade in their first encounter? Speculation aside, let's take a look at Blade's attacks. Unfortunately, we don't have the lovely breakdown of all the attacks of Blade on the website, so we pretty much just gotta go with what we see. The first attack we see is Blade dashing forward and then slashing at you. He can also perform a spinning slash into a downward stab with an electrical charge to it, because like we said, he has a similar settima to what Gunvolt has, using lightning. We just don't know if Blade is also a Nazir Striker or just something that just happens to be similar. But anyways, when Blade lands from this down stab, he sends a shockwave across the ground upon impact. At which point his sword gets stuck in the ground for a few seconds, and you can wail on him at this point, but don't get too close because he can still nail you with an attack by breaking apart his blade, which apparently seems to be a thing that he can do. Another property of Blade's sword is that it can block Copen's lasers. In the next scene of the trailer, we see Blade and Copen together in a very different stage with vials on the shelves in the background, suggesting that you will counter Blade in other parts of the game beyond just the intro stage, but that was obvious anyways. Interesting here, Blade transforms his sword into an electrical whip that extends across the room. Copen can jump on it, but you're gonna have to time your jumps because the whip can also become charged with electricity. And then we actually see Blade call upon a Thunderbolt vertically on his position, which is just like the Crash Bolt that Gunvolt could use in Gunvolt 2. So maybe he does have the Astro Striker Septima after all? That's pretty much it for the trailer though, so now let's actually move on to that gameplay. First off, here's some information from the panel, and this is only for the Japanese audience, or if you're importing this game from Japan. Of course, you know that in every territory, you can pre-order the game and get the Lola costume for Kohaku. But there's also some more DLC costumes for Kohaku that are pre-order bonuses for getting the physical version in Japan at select retailers. So if you pre-order from Amazon Japan, you can get the sailor outfit. If you order at GeoMart, you can get Kohaku in her regular clothes, but they are torn. Specifically, the translation roughly translates to her torn private clothes. Now that is actually illegal.
FBI, open up!
If you pre-order at Joshin, you can get the animal outfit, which reminds me a lot of Catwoman. Okay, before the FBI comes knocking on our door, let's actually get into the gameplay. Now here's our first stage of the demo, which is Rebellio's stage. The first thing I noticed is that there's a new icon underneath Copen that shows that his bullets are full at the moment. Pretty nice. And then here's a new enemy that emits a searchlight. When Copen is detected by the searchlight, the enemy starts firing lasers at his position. And have another. Here's an enemy that hops like a frog. And then we have a new type of Sumeragi soldier who is actually more like a mage. He wears a robe and he floats in midair. Then he summons 3 purple blasts at an angle. During the bit summon footage, they actually showed that there will be secret areas in this game. In this footage, the player actually goes up into the ceiling to find this secret area, and it leads to a giant medal. We don't know exactly what this medal does yet. It could be a power-up, or it could be your medals from the last couple Gunvolt games, where you can collect them just for fun or for challenges. What we do know is that when the player collects this medal, you can see an icon that shows that you can collect 4 of these medals, though it's unknown if that means you can collect 4 medals per stage, or there's just 4 of them in the game in general. Well, we might be able to answer that right away, because in the gameplay footage of a different Anticrates livestream, there is another medal found just before the hexagonal door for the boss. And this one has the bottom right section lit up, rather than the bottom left. So this would mean you can find 4 of these medals per stage. Another possibility is that maybe these medals have something to do with probably the true ending of the game, because we know every Gunvolt game is gonna have a true ending. During this gameplay, we also get to see a lot of Copen's new special attack, which is called the X-Cross Disaster, and is actually way flashier than his special in Gunvolt 2. Now Copen and Lola in her awakened form actually team up for a shredding attack, and then they finish with a cross slash. Very epic. And we even get to see some English text for this attack. Dual blades perform their fervor stance, ready to strike with conviction. X-Cross Disaster. We also get to take a look at the loading screen for the game, which features Kohaku. Alright, and here's the other stage of the demo, Crimm stage. Seems like Crimm is hanging out at a factory or plant looking level that's focused on explosives. There's even containers littered about that when Copen shoots them, they create a giant explosion, which is definitely the gimmick of the stage. We also have some new enemies here once again, like this crab-like enemy that crawls from side to side. It looks like it's searching the ground for Copen, and then one crab on the wall later on actually explodes on its own, leaving a trail of explosives. So yeah, this stage definitely wants to show you that explosion is art! You remember the mech enemies from Gunvolt, right? Well, here's a new type of mech with a spiked shield, and it can actually launch this shield forward, so be careful around it. And we do have confirmation in this stage that the horde rooms are still a thing. These enemies here are enemies that we've seen in past Gunvolt games, however they have actually gotten a sprite upgrade. The soldiers here definitely look thicker and more cleanly detailed than they did in the past. Now here's a neat little part where Copen actually uses an explosion to take out an hexagonal door, which are also back from the previous Gunvolt games. Very nice. Next up, let's read some cutscene dialogue from the demo. It's all in Japanese, but thankfully we do have English translations thanks to Sidier and Ami from the Gunvolt Cafe Discord server. The server and their Gunvolt Wiki serves as a great resource for all sorts of Gunvolt information, so consider checking them out and feel free to say hello to me in their server as well. Links in the description below. The first thing I want to make note of is the radio chatter from Lola during the stages. It seems like this time around, there actually won't be any proper mid-stage dialogue like in previous Gunvolt games, unless the feature is turned off for the demo. Why do I say that? Because from what Sidier told me, all that Lola does is that she congratulates Copen whenever he scores a combo, or just otherwise encourages the player for playing well. If mid-stage dialogue is indeed a thing of the past, it may come as a disappointment for those of you that like that extra bit of lore. For me personally, I found it to be distracting as I played anyway, so I wouldn't miss it terribly in the end. Now let's take a look at a translation of Rebellio's boss dialogue. Hi, are you Ix? The soldiers that keep watch of the area contacted us. We've ambushed you. Now a new girl character shows up in the dialogue here who is accompanying Rebellio, and unfortunately we don't have a name for her yet, or really know much about her at all. But this girl is referred to as a chief, so that fact in the kanji used, she could either be a chief of police, or she might be a higher up within Sumeragi. We just don't know exactly yet. The current theory with her identity is that this is the normal human form of that pigtailed adept from the key art poster, who we're temporarily calling Virgo. At first glance they don't really look the same because this girl here looks like she's never smiled a day in her life, whereas the girl in the poster is definitely smiling from ear to ear. But when you look closer at their hair, you notice that the bangs on both of these girls are actually almost identical. So maybe they are one and the same after all. To further support that, we also see the other female adept in this lineup and Miss Chief together in this artwork for some merchandise. So yeah, we may indeed be looking at another one of the 7 adepts. Maybe Miss Chief here has a personality change when she changes to Virgo? We still do not have a name for her, however. Anyways, let's continue the cutscene. Don't talk about my permission, Rebellio. Don't complain to me later if your execution is hastened. Sorry for that, Miss Chief. My, she was supposed to be the one keeping watch, but she just ran back home. Is she really taking this seriously? I feel like seeing my family's faces again. I'm going to go all out, okay? Also, just like how Lola does nothing but congratulates you for doing combos during the stage, there also seems to be no mid-battle dialogue when you're doing the boss fights like in previous Gunvolt games. Very interesting, but at least that distraction is gone now. Okay, now let's take a look at the dialogue around Crimm's boss fight. Before you reach the boss fight, Lola will tell Copen that she senses an energy response ahead, and that it seems to be the storage of energy, or EN, that they appear to be looking for is straight ahead of them. Moving forward, Copen will meet with Crimm, and in the background we can see a projected screen, and also pipes with the letters EN imprinted, which seems to be exactly what Copen is looking for in this mission. Oh, are you a passersby who's come to appreciate my art? Or are you merely an uncultured nuisance who tends to get in my way? If you have no intention of handing over your EN pack, I suppose I'm the latter. Oh, that's too bad. This pack is still a part of my plan to make yet even more explosive art. Starting now. All in pursuit of the beauty and scorching everything for the sake of making something artistic. That's what I, the great Crimm, will show you of my detonation Septima. Isn't that how the saying goes? Art is explosive. Or maybe explosions are art, rather. Oh my god, they actually did it. Oh, into you mad lads. Well, either or is fine with me. Everything is beauty, so long as it's artistic. Going out of a bang, it's showtime. This is your grave, and your death shall be sublimed into art. Once Crimm is defeated, we get some more post-battle dialogue. Phew, I was nervous, thinking he'd blow all sky high, but looks like the EN pack is okay. Sumeragi's EN pack is a high safety device with layers upon layers of maintained security. Nevertheless, I'm still not sure what would have happened if that fight had gone on for any longer than it had, so I'll give my thanks to Sumeragi's gadgets. I bet that if you bring that back, everyone else will flip! So it seems like in this stage at least, Copen's mission was to obtain the EN pack, or the energy pack, to bring back to Kohaku and the other Minos. But yeah, with those cutscenes done, that will wrap it up for these character intros and the mini analysis of Gunvolt Chronicles Luminous Avenger X, as we understand it so far. Are you excited for the game? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and for more on Luminous Avenger X, Mega Man, and Mega S things, stay tuned to ShadowRockZX. Until next time, rock on.